At $300, the Basics A2 Mini is one of the most compelling amplifiers available. Because at $300, it's not just a speaker amplifier. Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we help folks find high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone products. And today, this may be one of the highest value products you can get. It is the Rocktopus Emotiva Basics A2M. M maybe stands for something. So, sit down. Hold on just a second, I got it way back here. Excuse me, Rocktopus. Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the Emotiva Basics A2M. Today's sponsor is Sith Audio audiophile batteries. Sorry. Who wants to plug in your stereo equipment to a AC power supply like a big dumb ding dong when you can buy a whole bunch of Sith Audio audiophile batteries, put them all together, rig up your own power supply, and listen to your favorite audio equipment free of being connected to the evil power grid. 59.6 hertz, that's not going to work out for your turntable. That's why you need a constant supply of audiophile battery power from your friends at Sith Audio. Sith Audio, don't be dumb and use AC power for your stereo. Put some batteries together. Take your hi-fi listening experience to the next level. Sith Audio audiophile batteries for $1,999.99 right now. That's right, Sith Audio batteries. You're going to have to put a bunch of different configurations together to make things work. Emotiva, man, when I first started the channel, I ordered at the time, it was the T100. Now they have the TA100. Now they have the TA1. TA100 was their integrated amp. Now they have the TA1, which is their integrated amp. Back then, they also had something that looked like this, except not quite as cool. This one looks a little bit better. Anyway, it was their little 2-channel amplifier that also had volume control, but also had a headphone amp. And just like the old one, there's something you can do that's special with the headphone amp on this one. This product is pretty simple, no frills. Volume control on the front, headphone out, also a couple LEDs to let you know what configuration you're in. There's really only one configuration because there's no switches. On the back, from left to right, you have one set of single-ended RCA inputs. Next to that, a trigger in. Underneath that, a trigger out, just in case you want to daisy chain and turn things on. Next to that, a variable or fixed. What that means is if you have the variable, it means you're controlling the volume up front on here. If it's fixed, this thing is just acting just like a power amp without volume control, which means if you have a DAC that has a volume control, you can put your Emotiva A2M, M stands for mini, into fixed mode and control the volume off your DAC with your remote control, whatever else you want to control it with. Next to that, you have two very nice speaker outputs, and then AC connection, one of those figure-8 cords. Probably have a bunch of those lying around the house. Build quality, very well built. On the top is a series of ventilation holes. Around the side, there's some more ventilation holes, and on the bottom, there's even more ventilation holes, which means you can get some air movement across this. Inside, there's also a fan to help out with the cooling. This also has an internal switching power supply. As far as topology, as soon as I popped the hood on this thing, it looked very similar to my vintage receivers or the Akitica Z4 power amp. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying the way that it's laid out. There's not a bunch of digital stuff in there. Capacitors, resistors, transistors, good old school amplification fire materials. That's right. Let's talk about the thing that really puts this product over the top as far as value goes. On the front, there is a regular large headphone output jack. Not balanced, it's single-ended 6.35 millimeter. I call it the big headphone jack. It's a big headphone jack, which means you can plug your big headphone jack right into the front. On here, the way this is set up right now, it just takes the power from this speaker part of the amplifier, uses some step down resistors, puts it right into the headphone jack. Great. Why? Because that's the way they used to do it back in the day when receivers were awesome. However, there is a total of 4 pins. 2 pins and then 2 pins. Guess what one can do? They can install jumpers across those 2 pins. And now, you don't have those step-down resistors in the way anymore. You're getting full power out of the headphone output. What is power? Well, thank you for asking. It's 50 watts into 8, 90 watts into 4. Here's where it gets really interesting. If one installs those jumpers at an 8 ohm headphone load, all right, which again is not too common, 8 ohms, 50 watts per channel for a headphone, all right. 33 ohm headphones, which 32 ohm headphones are pretty common, 12 watts a channel. 47 ohm headphones, 8.5 watts. 150 ohm, 2.5 watt, 2.6. 300 ohm headphones, 1.3 watts. And 600 ohm headphones, 0.6 watts. Which means if one has very difficult to drive headphones, they don't have to worry about it anymore, because not only is it a speaker amp, it is also one of the most powerful headphone amps known to man. That's all well and good, but how does it sound? Well, I've had a bit of a history with Emotiva. I had the TA100. I bought that before the channel ever started. I had this one previously, the previous generation of this one, and I tested them both out. Ended up sending this back, not because it didn't sound great, just because I wanted the TA100. I never planned on keeping them both. I've had the PT1 in here. Not only did I have the TA100, but I also had the previous gen 2-channel Basics amp. And so I actually ran my TA100 as a preamp. Anyway, I've had the PT1 in for review, along with the A2, the new power amp, and my personal reference amplifier is the Emotiva GPA Gen 3 2-channel. That's what I use most of the time. I also have the Akitica power amp. I have heard a lot of the Emotiva products, and they've always been fantastic, and I really think that Emotiva sets the bar as far as value goes when it comes to amplification. Really, when it comes to speakers. Just about anything Emotiva makes. If they're making it, they're kind of setting the bar. And some people have said that I'm a big Emotiva fanboy, and I am. If they make a bad product, fine, I'll say it's a bad product, but guess what? They haven't made a bad product. They haven't made a product that isn't incredibly high value. This is typical Emotiva sound. And what is typical Emotiva sound? I guess one could call it a bit of a U shape. What I call it is similar to what the 70s era receivers sounded like. Early 80s era receivers. Punchy, sparkly on top. There's not a big difference between the Emotiva amplifiers, even amongst the Basics and the XPA series. From a flavor standpoint, they all have the same flavor. Punchy, sparkly, powerful. The differences that I have heard between their higher tier GPA and their basic stuff has more to do with soundstage, largeness of the soundstage, imaging, and placement in space of different instruments. I'm not saying the Basics doesn't do a fantastic job of it, frankly. I think it does probably the best job of it at the price point. But the XPA separates out instruments a little bit more, places things in space a little bit more definitively. There is less bleeding and smearing of one thing into the other. It is just cleaner. And it should be. $1,000 for the GPA 2-channel compared to, I think, $500 for the 2-channel Basics. At $300, the Basics A2 Mini is one of the most compelling amplifiers available. Because at $300, it's not just a speaker amplifier. It is also one of, if not the most powerful headphone amplifier one can get. This would be the foundation of a heck of a soundbar replacement. This would be the foundation of a heck of a desktop system. You're getting 50 watts into 8 ohm speakers, 90 watts into 4 ohm speakers. A sound signature that is excellent. And, again, one of the most powerful headphone amplifiers known to man. So if you have some Fostex T50RPs, maybe some Argons, Dan Clark Aeons. They're difficult to drive. Low efficiency planars, no problem. With this amplifier, you're going to need a DAC, or you're going to need a front end, because this is not a source. This is an amplifier that has volume control, no remote control either. So if you want to control it, if you want this by your TV and you want a remote control, you're going to have a DAC that has a remote control, which isn't a problem. One of my other favorite products, and it's upstairs right now, is the Vista Audio Spark. That is 20 watts per channel. The only difference is it looks very similar to this, but it's much narrower. That thing sounds great. And it's probably a little bit more detail-centric than the Emotiva, but it's only 20 watts. This is 90 watts into 4 ohms, 50 watts into 8 ohms, and that's 2 channels driven, so that's not some phantom power rating. That's a real power rating. I don't know of any other products out there that have AB amplification that can compete with this. Very powerful speaker amp, crazy powerful headphone amplifier. $300. Most people spend more than $300 on their headphone amp. Is it going to measure as well? I don't know. I haven't measured. I don't measure electronics. I will tell you though, it sounded great. It drove my headphones very easily. Now, if you're going to do that, one needs to be very careful, because Emotiva is like, hey, we take no responsibility for you completely destroying your headphones because you just cranked 30 watts through them. So you got to be careful. This is one of the best deals in hi-fi right now. Emotiva Basics A2M. You know what else you could use this thing for? If you have a home theater receiver that has pre-outs for your front channels, or really for any channel, you could use this to run as a separate amplifier for your home theater. If you want to juice up your rear channels or something like that, and it has preamp outs for those, this could be a really good option because it's a smaller footprint. Emotiva Basics A2M. Once again, Emotiva knocking it out of the park with value. I'm probably going to buy this from them because I want this to be kind of a comparison, really from a headphone amplifier standpoint. Reference as far as, hey, do these headphones need a lot of power? I'm going to keep this. Okay. So, if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon. Patreon.com/CheapAudioMan. Every Sunday night, we have Patreon-only Zooms. You can also sign up for Amazon Music. There's a link in the description. Click on the link. You get a bunch of free months of Disney Plus or 3 months free of Amazon Music. I get a couple of dollars. You can also use the links in the description. This will be linked. It's an affiliate link. If you click on it and you buy it, I do get a commission. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen through your new Emotiva Basics A2M and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.